On the evening of March 19, 2004, 17-year-old Brianna Maitland finished her shift at the Black Lantern Inn, a quiet bed and breakfast nestled in Sheldon, Vermont. It was a routine night, one she had experienced countless times before. But as she left work just after 11:20 p.m., something unthinkable was set in motion. Brianna would never make it home. The following morning, a group of out-of-town skiers traveling along Route 118 came across an unsettling scene. An older model Oldsmobile mysteriously backed into the side of a rundown barn, partially wedged into the structure. The car looked oddly placed, like it didn't belong there, and something about the way it was positioned made them uneasy. Curious, they stopped, took a few photos, and looked around, hoping to find someone nearby. But no one was in sight. Assuming it was nothing more than a minor accident, they continued on their way, unaware that their casual snapshots would later become the last known trace of a missing girl whose disappearance continues to haunt Vermont to this day. Before we continue, welcome to Crime Uncovered, where every case has a story, and the truth is often stranger and darker than fiction. If you haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that button to stay updated on the latest true crime cases we uncover. And to our returning subscribers, thank you for your continued support. Don't forget to like this video so it reaches more people who care about the truth behind the headlines. I would love to know where you are watching from. Drop your country in the comments below. So back to the case. Brianna Maitland grew up in Franklin, Vermont, a sleepy village surrounded by rolling green hills and fading barns that seem frozen in time. With just over 1,000 residents, the town gives off the impression of peace, where life moves slowly and neighbors know each other by name. But beneath its calm exterior lies a deeply rooted mystery that has unsettled this small community for decades. Born to Bruce and Kelly Maitland on October 8, 1986, Brianna was raised alongside her older brother on the family farm. From an early age, she stood out, strong-willed and confident. She practiced jiu-jitsu, and her father described her as someone who wasn't afraid to stand up for what she believed in. Friends say she had a big heart, a magnetic personality, and a loyalty that ran deep. As she reached her teenage years, Brianna developed a wide social circle and spent more time with friends in nearby towns, since her family's rural farm was far removed from the social hubs of Vermont's small communities. She never quite fit in at her high school and, against her parents' wishes, decided to leave home during her sophomore year. She started staying with friends, transferred to a school in Sheldon, and worked hard to finish her GED, all while juggling jobs to support herself. By March of 2004, Brianna was living with her close friend Jillian Stout. She'd landed a steady job as a dishwasher at the Black Lantern Inn and had just secured a second job she was excited to begin. Life wasn't perfect, but she seemed to be finding her rhythm again, or so it seemed on the surface. To those who knew her, Brianna was a bright, radiant presence. Tall and slender, with flowing brown hair and an infectious smile. She enjoyed the countryside, loved spending time with friends, and had become a familiar face around Sheldon. But behind the scenes, things weren't quite as peaceful. In the weeks leading up to her disappearance, tension was building. Among the more troubling incidents was a physical altercation involving a girl named Keely LaCrosse, someone Brianna had once considered a friend. The conflict escalated into a violent fight, one that left Brianna with 2 black eyes, a broken nose, and a concussion. Though she had martial arts training, she chose not to retaliate. Her father, Bruce, later said that jealousy may have been at the root of it all. At the urging of her friends and family, Brianna filed a police complaint. The case was scheduled to be heard in court on April 9, 2004, but Brianna would vanish long before that day ever came. Despite the trauma, Brianna remained determined. She had passed her GED exam the morning of March 19th, a huge personal achievement. To celebrate, she went shopping and had lunch with her mother, Kelly. It was meant to be a happy day. But while standing in line at a store, Brianna suddenly told her mother she needed to step outside. When Kelly followed moments later, she found Brianna looking shaken and tense. Brianna dismissed her mother's concern, saying she just needed to prepare for work. Kelly didn't push further, a decision she'd later regret. Some family members believe that Brianna may have been confronted in the parking lot and warned not to show up for work that night, possibly a threat tied to the pending court case. Whatever happened during those brief minutes outside the store clearly affected her. After the outing, Kelly dropped Brianna off at the apartment she shared with Jillian. It would be the last time she saw her daughter. Before heading out to work that evening, Brianna left a simple note for her roommate, Jillian Stout. It said she'd be back later that night. There was nothing unusual about it, just a quiet routine between two friends. That evening, the Black Lantern Inn was buzzing with activity. Its location, close to the popular Jay Peak ski resort, meant a full house during Vermont's winter months. Guests mingled, staff moved quickly, and in the kitchen, Brianna kept to her usual duties. According to her co-workers, nothing seemed out of place. She was her normal self, cheerful, kind, and focused. When her shift ended around 11:20 p.m., she politely declined an invitation to grab a bite with coworkers, saying she was heading straight home. That was the last confirmed sighting of her. A few minutes later, drivers on Route 105 spotted something strange. They reported seeing an Oldsmobile, matching Brianna's, backing into an old barn, its tail lights cutting through the dark. It was an odd sight, especially so late at night, but no one stopped. Based on those accounts, investigators estimate that if those witnesses were correct, there was roughly a 10-minute window between when Brianna left the inn and when her car appeared at the barn. 10 minutes. That's all it would have taken for something terrible to happen. The next day, her car was found by the barn, its rear end pressed firmly into the building side. The windshield was cracked, the doors were unlocked, and the keys were missing. Oddly, paychecks intended for Brianna were still inside, but she wasn't. Despite the strange way Brianna's car was found, no immediate alarm was raised. That day, March 20th, a state trooper came across the Oldsmobile around 1 p.m. and assumed it had been abandoned after a minor accident. The scene didn't scream foul play to him. The car was unlocked, the keys were gone, and there was no visible blood or sign of struggle. Thinking it might have been left there by a drunk driver, he had the vehicle towed to a nearby lot and moved on to another call. He didn't notify the car's registered owner or treat the site as a possible crime scene. In hindsight, this moment would become one of the most criticized missteps in the case. Back at the apartment, Brianna's roommate, Jillian, hadn't seen her all weekend. She assumed Brianna had gone away for a few days and hadn't thought much of it, until Tuesday, March 23rd. Concerned, she finally reached out to Brianna's mother to ask if she'd heard from her. That call sent a wave of panic through Kelly Maitland, who immediately realized something was wrong. She hadn't spoken to Brianna since dropping her off on Friday. Frantic, Kelly started calling Brianna's friends, one by one, only to be met with the same answer. No one had seen or heard from her in days. With her concern growing by the minute, Kelly and Bruce Maitland rushed to the Vermont State Police to file a missing person report. There, they described Brianna's car, a green Oldsmobile from the 80s. That's when officers pulled out a photo. It was of the very same car, the one abandoned at the barn days earlier. Neither Kelly nor Bruce had been notified. In that instant, the pieces began falling into place. Too late, for crucial days had already passed. Days where evidence could have been lost, memories faded, and opportunities to act had slipped away. The eerie scene at the abandoned barn raised more questions than it answered. Brianna's car, found with its back end jammed into the building, wasn't just oddly parked. It looked staged. The cracked windshield, the untouched paychecks, the absence of any obvious damage beyond the front. All of it felt off. But what really unsettled investigators was what was missing: Brianna. Some began to draw comparisons between Brianna's case and another mysterious disappearance that had gripped New England just weeks earlier, the vanishing of Maura Murray, roughly 60 miles away. The similarities were hard to ignore. Both women were young, both disappeared under strange circumstances, and both had left behind vehicles with confusing clues. In Maura's case, there was an unexplained red rag stuffed into her car's tailpipe. For Brianna, it was a lime wedge oddly stuck to her car's trunk, a detail that made no sense but couldn't be dismissed. The questions grew deeper. Was the proximity to a popular ski resort, a lifeline for local tourism, the reason both cases were initially downplayed? Did authorities rush to rule out foul play to avoid stirring panic or damaging business? Or was it simply the limitations of small-town policing at work? Back at the barn, police finally began a formal investigation. They brought in K-9 units to search the area. But it was too late. The trail was cold. No footprints, no scent, no clear sign of what had happened. And perhaps most frustrating of all, no photographs had been taken at the scene when the car was first discovered. That early opportunity to preserve crucial evidence had vanished. To many, including Brianna's loved ones, this felt like more than just a failure. It felt like negligence. In the months that followed Brianna's disappearance, speculation spread quickly. Everyone had a theory, and almost none of them brought comfort. Her family, friends, and the public wrestled with a question that seemed to have no clear answer. What really happened that night? One of the earliest and most widely believed theories was that Brianna had been the victim of foul play, that someone, possibly lying in wait, had attacked her as she left work or forced her off the road. The way her car was found, backed into the barn, the windshield cracked, suggested some kind of confrontation. It was difficult to imagine she had ended up there by accident. Then came another theory, one harder for her loved ones to accept, that Brianna had chosen to disappear. Supporters of this idea pointed to her rocky few months leading up to March 2004, the falling out with friends, her decision to leave home, and a comment she had allegedly made about wanting a fresh start. But the theory didn't hold up. Brianna had just passed her GED, secured a new job, and was making plans for her future. She had never indicated to her family that she wanted to leave everything behind. Another chilling possibility began to emerge, that her disappearance was tied to local drug activity. Rumors swirled that Brianna had been hanging out with people connected to illegal dealings, names known to police but never officially linked to her case. While there was no hard evidence to confirm this theory, whispers of intimidation and hidden secrets kept it alive. Over time, some began to wonder whether Brianna's case could be connected to other unsolved disappearances. People drew parallels between her vanishing and other missing persons cases in the region. But without proof, these connections remained speculative. Dots on a map with no lines drawn between them. No matter the theory, one truth remained constant. Brianna was gone, and no one could explain how or why. Over the years, Brianna's case has become one of the most enduring unsolved mysteries in Vermont. Yet her family and a few determined investigators have never stopped searching. Among them is private investigator Greg Overacher, who became deeply invested in the case and offered one of the most unsettling claims to date. He believes he knows where Brianna is, but the land where her body might be buried is privately owned and inaccessible without permission. Overacher's suspicions point to a group of local men, 4 in total, who have long been rumored to be involved. According to a close friend of Brianna's named Katie, who also appeared on a podcast with Overacher in 2017, the truth is incredibly solvable. She believes that it would only take one of those men to speak up, and that a plea deal might be the only thing standing between silence and justice. Then came a major development. In March 2016, Vermont State Police revealed that they had found DNA inside Brianna's car, evidence they believed belonged to their primary suspect. Years later, in 2022, they confirmed that new forensic testing had been done using advanced genome sequencing technology, the same type of analysis that helped identify the infamous Golden State Killer. A DNA profile was created and matched to someone already on law enforcement's radar. Still, no names were released. No arrests were made. The person tied to that DNA has not been publicly identified. While authorities insist the investigation is still active, they remain tight-lipped, likely working behind the scenes to build a stronger case before making their move. And so, the mystery continues, closer to the truth than ever before, but still just out of reach. As time stretches on, Brianna Maitland's disappearance continues to cast a long shadow over Sheldon and the surrounding towns. The investigation has never been officially closed, and with every passing year, new leads trickle in. Some are dead ends. Others, like the discovery of DNA, bring a flicker of hope. Still, the answers remain elusive. Thanks to advancements in forensic science and the rise of digital communities, there's renewed momentum. Social media, true crime forums, and podcasts have helped keep Brianna's story in the public eye. Independent investigators and everyday people continue to share tips and theories, each hoping to uncover something missed. Her case is no longer just a local tragedy. It's part of a global conversation. Over the years, scattered reports of possible sightings have come in. People claim to have seen someone resembling Brianna, often in distant states or unfamiliar towns. Most of these leads turn out to be false, but every report is taken seriously, combed through with care just in case. Despite the silence, her family refuses to give up. To them, Brianna is more than a name in a case file. She's a daughter, a sister, a friend, someone who deserved a future. What they want now is truth, closure, and the dignity of knowing what happened on that cold night in March 2004. And until that truth is known, Brianna's memory lives on, not just in hearts and headlines, but in every effort made to bring her home. Her story is a haunting reminder of how quickly a life can vanish, and how long the search for justice can last. As the sun dips below the horizon in Sheldon, casting long shadows over the quiet barns and snowy roads, one light still burns: the hope that Brianna Maitland will finally be found. And until that day comes, her name will never be forgotten. Thank you for watching. Every victim deserves their story told. If you found this story shocking and heartbreaking, subscribe to Crime Uncovered and help keep their memory alive. What do you think about this case? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Until next time, keep questioning everything.